I want to once and for all finish this dress that I started, kind of like this one, I guess, from this sewing pattern, which I think is from the 70s, 1970. I started this dress a while ago, at least over a year or two ago, because I remember cutting out the fabric in our old apartment. I'm using what I believe is a cotton velveteen sort of a fabric. It looks like a cotton twill, but it has a bit of a velvety texture, and it's brown paisley. I got it secondhand from the Resource Exchange, which is an art and supply store, arts and crafts supplies warehouse in Philadelphia, and they have a lot of secondhand fabrics. So I love going there to get cool fabrics. I did start this already, and I believe I have footage in various vlogs where I made incremental progress on the dress. My process has paused because I decided I wanted to add some embroidery details to it. I'll show you what I have done so far. I have the two sleeves. I gathered the bottom of the sleeves into this cuff. Right now it's pinned shut. I actually want to take these pins out and open it up so that I can do embroidery on the cuff. So that's what the sleeve's gonna look like, more or less, but I want it embroidered. Part of me toyed around with the idea of beading the cuffs, but I think embroidery makes more sense for my lifestyle because of washing ease. With embroidery, it's kind of easier to wash clothes a little bit more haphazardly compared to beading, where you just have to be careful and hand wash things. I forgot to mention, I want to especially work on this because if it comes out nice and fits me all right, I thought it'd make a really cute dress to wear for Thanksgiving because of the color palette. I mean, it's a cute dress to wear in general, but I thought since Thanksgiving is this coming week, I may as well make a cute dress to wear. The dress was a little bit inspired by a dress that I saw Sienna Miller wear on one of those Vogue YouTube videos where they have a celebrity featured and they talk about 7 outfits for the days of the week. And in one of the clips of Sienna Miller, she's wearing a vintage paisley mini dress. And I remember getting this fabric and thinking I should make something similar to that because I thought it was a really cute style. This dress also has a neck piece, which I also want to embroider in a similar style that I do the cuffs. So before I do any more sewing, I want to do the embroidery so that I can like close it up neatly with the lining of the cuff. Because when I embroider garments that are already made, sometimes I'm too lazy to take out the lining and embroider the fabric, so then like knots and stuff show through on the other side. But when I make clothes, I have the opportunity to embroider things cleanly, where all of the back of the embroidery will be hidden by this fabric, if that makes sense. So I have the two sleeves. I want to do just like a cute folksy floral motif or like wildflower situation in matching colors. I'll go through my threads in a little bit. And then the other stuff I need to do, this is the neck piece, and the idea is it's going to fold in half so that it kind of lines itself, and then it'll be sewn to the dress like so. So I also want to embroider half of this. So I'm going to put this with the sleeves. It does have interfacing on it, like fusible interfacing. Those are the components of the dress I want to embroider. That was my vision. I didn't really want to embroider the main dress, but we'll see how everything looks. And then as far as sewing goes, I did get quite a bit done. It's inside out right now. That's the back of the pleat detail. There's pleats in the front and ties that are tucked into the pleats. The shoulder seams are sewed. The zipper is sewn. I think it's a vintage zipper, so it's a little bit of a loud and sticky zipper. I just have to sew the side seams and do the hem, so that's not bad. Once the embroidery is done, I think it's gonna come together quite quickly. The only other thing I'm maybe concerned about is that it might be a little bit small on me. And if that's the case, luckily for me, I do have my Etsy shop. I can always put clothes that I've made or embroidered in my Etsy shop. But I really hope that this fits because I love the fabric, I love paisley, and I love brown. I'm actually wearing a really similar color story today. brown and maroon. If it doesn't fit me, because I'm a little worried about the shoulders and the armhole and the neckline, because I have very broad shoulders and bone structure on my shoulder region. If it doesn't fit, I'm just gonna put it in my Etsy shop, knowing that there are more petite people out there than me. For now, I want to start the embroidery on the cuffs and the neckline. Okay, I have a rough sketch of an idea of what I want to do, so now I'm going to draw that out on the cuffs, and I'm using a metallic paint pen. I'm actually not sure what this brand is, but I prefer the brand Molotow, and I'm starting out by drawing little circles all the way around the perimeter of the cuff. This turned out to be a little bit irrelevant because the thread color I chose for the circles was too similar to the color of maroon in the dress, but that's just something I, had to deal with as I worked on this. Next, I drew a simple floral motif going straight across the cuff, and I tried my best to be symmetrical, but I wasn't too much of a perfectionist here. I probably could have used a ruler and gotten a bit more of a precise design, but that's just not how I am, and it's really just leaves and flowers with a stem. So this is my basic cuff design, and now I want to draw it mirrored onto the other cuff. So I'm going to try to do the exact same thing I just did, just in the opposite direction the flowers will be leaning. I grabbed some threads. I tried my best to pick colors that matched, but I did choose a shade of green that was a bit contrast, a shade of pink that was also a bit contrast, and then a shade of maroon, and I just stuck to those three colors. I brought out a mustard shade, but I ended up not using it. And then I also have a cutting tool as well as an embroidery needle. I prefer a crewel needle. That's like about a 2-inch needle for embroidery. And I actually did not love the process of stitching fabric that has been fused with interfacing, and people are always asking me if I add backings to my fabrics, which I normally do not. The only reason I did this is because the sewing pattern wanted the cuffs to be backed with interfacing, but I personally think that it makes it more difficult to embroider, but I think everyone has their own preference. That might be something you want to experiment with because some people seem to really like stitching with interfacing on the back of their fabrics. My method for embroidery is rather straightforward for this project. I'm just filling in the drawing that I made with straight stitches, and these are sometimes also called satin stitches, and I'm moving from color to color. So once I did all of the leaves, I moved on to the stem and the center of the flowers, which I did in a shade of red, and then after that I moved on to the petals, which I decided to make a bit of a random shade of pink. I think it still went really well with the paisley fabric. Choosing this red shade to do these little dots doesn't really make sense because it's not showing up that well. I'm just going to continue filling it in with the red just so that the metallic paint pen isn't showing, even if it's kind of pointless. The rest of the cuff looks cute, so I'm just gonna keep going. That's the idea. Kind of a little bit medieval, I think. Yeah, I'm almost done with this one, and then I'm going to do this cuff the same way, the same color story, and then I'll try to figure out what kind of design I want to do for the neck piece. I probably won't get to this until tomorrow though. Here are my 2 sleeve cuffs. Now what I want to do is, I'll show you, that's the back of the embroidery. I'm going to close this off. I'll pin this back down so that it's neatly pinned, and then stitch this closed. Once that's done for both of these, I need to add a buttonhole, probably on this side, and a button. I didn't leave myself a lot of room, and I probably shouldn't have stitched this area. I do need to figure out either 2 buttonholes or 1 buttonhole so that the cuff can close. Hopefully there's enough room for me to do that. I have pretty small wrists. I'll have to figure out something for closing the cuff and closing up the sleeve. As far as the neck piece goes, I think I'm just going to do a similar design as this. Maybe just a line here, flowers, maybe slightly larger flowers and leaves. Larger flowers, smaller leaves, something like that. I'll just draw it out. And same color story, but I'm gonna leave out these little dots because they were kind of pointless since it was a lot of extra work and you can't really see them anyways. You live and you learn, I guess.
This is called martial law.
I recently stopped paying for Spotify Premium, so I've been getting creative with what I listen to or watch while I'm working, and this afternoon I decided to put on a Lou Reed concert from the 80s, so that's what I've got going on in the background while I work. I've just got a bit more hand sewing to do, and then I'm going to move on to finishing the sewing process for the dress. I have a feeling that when I sew this piece to the dress, the flowers are going to be very close to the seam. So I might want to add embroidery along the top where it folds. We'll see. Just gonna keep going. It feels a little tight in the neck on me and in the armhole. I think the size just might be one size too small. And now I have to hand stitch this shut. I do think I'm gonna wanna add a little bit more embroidery up here, but I do wanna just keep going with sewing. Just sewing the sleeves, and the instructions actually say to close the cuff with snaps. I'm not sure if I have snaps. I'm sure I can get them at Fleshman, but I might try to figure out something else that I can do. I'm not sure what I should do about closing the sleeve cuffs. For now, I'm going to sew the side seams. Filming in my workroom is starting to drive me crazy because of how small it is. It's very frustrating how this is just a smidge too small on me. It does fit. The sleeves are small, but not crazy small. The neck feels okay. I have to add hook and eyes. I think the embroidery looks cute. It's very subtle, at least on the neck it is. So what I have to do now, hem the dress, figure out how to close the sleeves, figure out how to close the neck, and then I might just add some kind of a blanket stitch around here. We'll see. I wish this fit just a bit better, but it feels okay. I love the fabric. I love the style of a 70s, 60s or 70s dress. I'm just adding these last finishing touches by embroidering the neckline, adding hook and eyes to the back of the neck, and then adding snaps to the cuffs. And that's all I had left to do for the dress, so I can show you how it turned out. Okay everyone, here's how the dress came out. The embroidery. The pleats. I think this came out really cute. I do wish it fit me a little bit better. I'm just gonna put it in my shop actually. The cuffs, they wouldn't be too tight on me if they were at the right place, but they're quite tight right here on my arm. Shoulders are pretty tight. The neck actually feels okay, which is cool to know. If I ever want to try to make this again, I'll probably just have to make the shoulders a little wider, the sleeves definitely longer. And I do love the style and I love the sleeve silhouette. It was a fun project and I hope you liked seeing it. Kind of a simple embroidery, but sometimes I just like doing a simple little design. And that's everything. If you want to check out my Etsy shop, it's Tessa Perlo Inc. I have the link down below in my description. I am having a sale going on until December 2nd. Just a little sale. Everything is 15% off. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye.